Hi, and welcome to another video brought to you by TurboCamaro.ca, now presented in 4K. As you can see here, we've got the 67 Camaro. This is the alcohol-injected, turbocharged Chevy 250 inline 6. It is looking very pretty now, but what we need is a bit of security. I'll be doing the interior compartment in a later video, but in the meantime, I want to secure the hood. These vehicles only have a mechanical hood latch assembly that's accessible from outside the vehicle. It's very, very easy to open the hood, and anybody can just do whatever they want to your engine bay while you're not around. So in the meantime, I'd like to deal with that. I've got a set of Mr. Gasket 1472 hood locks. It's a stainless steel set with cylindrical locks. You can see them here. They're going to be basically going flush against the hood with these stainless steel, they're chrome on the other side, washers that go down. It should look pretty neat, and at the same time add that security that I'm looking for. Obviously, if somebody wants in your car, they're going to get in your car, but it won't be as simple as just popping a latch anymore. First step is to make sure that your hood is aligned correctly. In this case, I do have a narrow gap at both ends, but for whatever reason, the front gap is quite a bit more here. And the obvious reason, you can see here, is because the hood is not lined up in the center. The hood latch that's actually on the hood needs to be shifted slightly to be able to line this up, and then I should have an even gap from front to back of the hood. So I'll do that first. Okay, so sometime later, with the hood aligned, the best I can at least, I think the quarter panels on this car probably would have needed to be adjusted before paint and before I got to this level of customization. But either way, I'm happy with the adjustment level. As you can see, I've actually taken some steps ahead and done one side. This is actually beneficial because you guys can now see this is what I'm going for. You can see there's a hood latch down there, and there's this new locking assembly on the top. So what I've done, it's not quite 100% finished, is I've cut a hole here and missed right there, but that's fine. And I got some paste on there for lining it up, which I'll show you. You can see I've cut a hole on the underside of the hood and then installed all the bracket and everything else. It's up in there. And the reason I did it this way is because now this is actually recessed in the hood. You can see here there's this material here. It actually goes up and underneath there. The ability for someone to actually get access to this to defeat it without just drilling a hole in the hood or something to that effect, or just literally reefing on the hood with a pry bar, is going to be virtually impossible. You'd have to do some significant damage to get to it, whereas if it was in replace of this pin here, it would actually be not as difficult. You'd be able to reach it from the grill or something like that and bring up something up through here and break it off. Again, this particular car, it's not going to be the end of the world. I don't think someone's going to take great strides to be able to get this done, but the point is I left this. I like the support, I like the extra security of having it here for stability, and then it allowed me to have a nice flat area over here to be able to use the hood pin, and now we're set. So this is the idea. It obviously fastens through on the underside of this. I need to line this up with the underside of this. So first thing I'm going to do, now that I've already done one, is I'm going to replicate exactly what I've already done. So what I did is, after I was happy with this one, I lined up a piece of paper, you can see here, with the edge of the hood in the corner. I just drew it exactly as is. The hole in the paper right there actually resembles the dead center of the lock. So all I have to do is take it, flip it over, mind the instruction sheet that I used for something unrelated, and now the hood hole, or the hole right there, is going to be a mirror of the hole on the other side. Just to be sure, I measured this way and this way, kind of like a sanity check, and I was happy with it. So I'm going to drill a small hole, pilot hole, through here. There's a pilot hole there. So I just started with a small one and went up to about 1/4 inch or so. And once you've got that, you can then strip up to a step drill bit, something like this, for instance. In this case, I just have to go to basically the bottom rung to be able to get it to the size of the lock. Because I have material on the underside, you can see here I went through with the last 1/4 inch here, just so I get a reference to where about the middle of the hole is. I may have to actually do the step drill bit on this side and the other side to kind of widen both holes simultaneously. But either way, just get the holes to the sizes that you need, and you can move on. All right, so with the hole in the hood big enough to put the lock in, you can see here that looks good. Now I need to basically widen this hole down here. It looks pretty rough, and really what it is I need to be able to use a 7/8 socket to be able to fit up in there and tighten the nut that's going to go on the bottom of the lock. So unfortunately, a 7/8 socket is not fitting through this hole right here. So I'm going to pull the lock out, and I'm going to use my carbide bits from my Dremel and just widen the hole. Unfortunately, I don't have a stepped bit big enough to go to 7/8, but the Dremel does a pretty good job, and at least that way I can tighten it down properly. All right, so the hole is big enough now to use the socket on there, and as you can see, I got the lock in there still. I was just sort of test fitting the washer. I had to actually slip them through this crease here to get in there, and it's actually very, very awkward to be able to push the washer on and then use the proper nut and whatnot. But before you even go any further than this, what you want to do is you want to pull the lock out from the top of the hood, and then from the top you can just take a small amount of Rust-Oleum, bare metal okay type of anti-rust paint, and coat the inside lip of either your hood if you've got that far already, or if you're in my case, just do the top layer. You just want to get what's going to sort of seal up between the lock. Sure, there's probably not a lot of water getting in there, but there could be moisture, then you're starting getting rust. I'm not going to worry about this edge right now because I'm going to end up painting this whole area here later on. So for now, this bare metal is fine, but the stuff just under the lock you want to get to if you can now, just so you don't seal it up. So once you've got beyond that painting, the next step is going to be to mount the lock to the underside of the hood, or just to the hood in general. This, for me, it's tricky, like I said, because I can't get my fingers in there and it's very awkward to press these things up. So what I've done is I've actually taken the washer. They've got this fancy washer and the nut, and I've actually glue gunned it together, and that way I don't have to worry about trying to hold and shimmy things around to get it on there. And once it's on there and you start tightening it down with the socket, it just breaks the glue away anyway, no big deal. But at least this way I'm not worried about dropping the washer and having to line them up while also holding the large washer underneath. So just go ahead, do the painting, and fasten the lock down. So with the lock secured down, now what you can do is you just sort of hang the actual pin or the bolt from the bottom of it there, just loosely, and on the underside of it you want to have some sort of white or some kind of a marking. You can use toothpaste, whatever you want. I've just this little bottle of like marking paste here. You can use just about anything though. So anyway, let it hang. Now what you do is just lower the hood slowly, and you don't want it to be swinging because it's just kind of hanging there. You can see there it's wobbling around. So get it to the point where it's down, and then just sort of close the hood gently on it, and you'll see that it will press down. And then just make sure that corner of the hood is pressed down. Good. And then when you lift the hood up, you'll be able to see where to drill the hole. All right, so there's what it looks like with the hood pin installed. It's nice and tight now. You can see here that this is lined up the same way that the actual lock is lined up, and I've got the height the same as the other one. Obviously, high or low is going to depend on whether you can close the hood or if the lock even lines up, as well as that quite possible if it was too low, the actual latch on the lock wouldn't engage. Either way, you've got this thing here done. Let's give it a try. I haven't really played with these much yet, so you might not be able to see how well it works. There's one. And someone's given me trouble before. Nope, we're good. Two. A little bit sticky. I might need to tinker with a little bit, but you get the general idea. You can see the car is unfortunately very dirty, but for the most part I think they both add something sort of unique, as well as some security to the vehicle. Like I said earlier, these are not going to prevent someone who really wants to get into your engine compartment from getting in. They could just destroy the hood and smash out the grill here and try to reach up under there and cut it. But the general idea is that it is not just a latch anymore, and it provides some hood security in the event that my latch ever fails. But that's it. So this is Turbo Camaro from TurboCamaro.ca. Please check out my YouTube and Twitter channels for any questions, comments, requests, anything like that. Thank you for watching.